Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. And what's the furthest place from here? I don't know, but sometimes I wish that I was there because. Anyway, the name of this comic book is What's the Furthest Place From Here? This wasn't bad. There were a couple things that I am going to critique. I'm going to critique the whole book. I'm going to critique the whole book. Easy for me to say, right? But anyway, for the most part, this book wasn't bad. In fact, I liked it. I almost really liked it, but it did have certain problems, and some of those problems were a little bit stronger than others. Right? There was a deal here. A big deal, no, but there was a deal. Let's get talk about who made this comic book. We'll move on from there. First issue I have is Tyler Boss and Matthew Rosenberg are the storytellers. Okay, let me explain that. Matthew Rosenberg is the writer and Tyler Boss is the artist. That's actually the way that works. This whole storytelling thing, I get it, it's cute, but writer comes first, then the artist. That's the way that it's done. When you start reversing things, they get confusing. All right? There's no need to confuse people and be like, "Oh, Tyler Boss, what has he written? Why is Matthew Rosenberg co-writing this?" Right? There's no need for nonsense like that. Yes, the artist is just as important as the writer, but the whole, everybody's the same thing, I really don't like that. I don't like that in the world. I don't like any of that nonsense. So right away, that's annoying to me. Hassan Otsmane Al How is the only letterer that Image Comics has. That's not true, but it's kind of true. Because the guy writes, he does the letters for everything. Tyler Boss also did the cover A. There's a couple of other covers out there. And it's interesting because Rosenberg is a guy who, and this is not to say anything negative about, or absentee about Tyler Boss, but Rosenberg has a lot of friends who really respect him a lot in the comic book universe. I wish he would have done that interview with me because I would respect him a whole lot more also. I just think that he's an okay guy right now. But nonetheless, yeah, he promised me the interview. He's got a lot of friends. It was that old Garth Brooks friends. I got friends in low places, something like that. All my friends in low places. It's funny. Brian Michael Bendis did a cover. Like, what? You expect to see a Scotty Young. You expect to see, some of these other people in here, Jenny Frisson and whatnot. But for crying out loud, you actually have Brian Michael Bendis drawing a cover? The hell? So that was interesting to see. But honestly, it says more about Rosenberg and the people who love and respect this man. Like that's a big deal. That is, as far as the story is concerned. Well, here, let's go into the art first. The art is a weird kind of art style that it's going to take you a good solid minute to get used to. But once you do, boom, you're not seeing anything that might make you say, huh, right? This is purposefully non mainstream, like with a solid intent. I've seen some of what Tyler Boss has done before. Nothing comes to mind right now, but I know the name and I know I sit there and think to myself, Tyler Boss, yes, good artist, right? He's got a range. In this particular case, his range is to keep it kind of on the low, right? We're not going to do anything amazing here. In fact, we're going to keep this so that you can clearly recognize the characters. You can clearly look at these characters and say, this is this person, even if you forget their names, you know who's talking, you know who's doing something, whether it's from the front or the back, you know all of these characters, you can recognize them immediately. Yet, they all look very similar at the same time. Probably not the easiest thing in the world to do, and yet somehow he's the boss on this, right? He goes full Sasha Banks on this one, WWE reference for those who caught it. So I can't say I loved this art in any way, shape, or form, but I genuinely appreciated what it accomplished, right? It's not easy to do a subdued art style while still having the characters look clearly different. And there's so many characters. And it's not like, these are Marvel Universe or DC Universe characters who you're going to know Batman no matter who he's fighting, right? If he's fighting against the entire Court of Owls, you're still going to be able to recognize Batman no matter who's drawing the damn thing, right? But for the love of God, when you're talking about brand new characters and you're able to distinctly tell the difference between these characters, that says a lot, a whole lot. So, yeah, I really liked what Boss did in this, even though it's not some amazing art. Um, the style wasn't fantastic to me, but what he was able to do with that particular style, you can't touch that, right? Can't beat that with a 10-foot pole. Just combined two idioms there, but whatever. Now, the writing, the story in and of itself, the writing was fantastic. I really liked the way that the characters felt. These were all of them, kids in this story. In fact, there seems to be something to do with growing up and having to go away and possibly dying, disappearing, whatever in this. We're going to get to the story in a minute. But all of these kids in this story were kids. Everybody, every character, major or minor character, walk-on character or, protagonist, they were all kids in this, meaning teenagers, like 18 or under. And I don't think there was anybody younger than 12 in this, or maybe even younger than 15, 16, for crying out loud. Lot of kids in this. And they acted like kids, right? Different varieties of kids. It's almost like there were test subjects taken. It's like, oh, I'm going to base this kid off of this kid that I know, and this kid off of this kid. This is when I was a kid. I'm going to base this kid, right? Rosenberg really got the feel for these kids, right? Whether it was a violent kid or an okay kid or a sad kid, a depressed kid, a kid who gets bullied, a kid who does bully. A lot of this, all of this for the most part, they felt like individuals. They felt like they all had their own story to be told. They felt like they all had their own voice. It's something that Rosenberg does just really well. You know that these are all different people. Do you want to get to know them? That's a different story. But you know that they're all different characters. If you were writing a novel and there were no pictures, you would still be able to tell the distinct voices of these characters. You can't get a better, I don't think you can really get higher praise than that, but you can't get better in your craft than that. And that's just, so yeah, in a way, I'm saying Rosenberg really is at the top of his craft in that particular regard. But as far as the story is concerned, there's something happening here. But I have very little idea as to what it is. And that is a failure on the part of Rosenberg. There's an indication that when you get to a certain age, you disappear or you die, right? There's this one kid who loses a tooth. You think he was in a fight, but it doesn't seem like he was in a fight. But even if he was, it's like he just, like a tooth came out. And it's like, oh no, are you getting to that age? Are you about to die? No, I've still got 2 more years, or I still got another year. I think it was I still got another year, right? Something happens when you get to a certain age and you have to just kind of vamoose, right? Or die or whatever. And we've seen this sort of story before, right? Where only children live and you die when you get to like 18 or whatever. We've seen this plot before, but it hasn't been overdone, to my attention at least. It hasn't been overdone. So that's cool. They did something like that, and it was certainly implied, but they don't, in my opinion, I don't think that Rosenberg really does enough to tell us what exactly is happening here. Some guy shows up and then he disappears. He shows up and he does something. He unlocks a door, and that door has never been opened before. And apparently they couldn't break down the door. So it leads me to believe that it's magical. No, I'm dead serious, because it's just some like lock and key, one of those kinds of key. It's just a key. You open the door. It's like, I'm saying, you give me a crowbar. I mean, good luck for the door. Like, that didn't look like a metal door. And I'm pretty sure I can bust down any door. Solid oak door. Give me a crowbar. I can bust down that freaking door, right? You can't tell me crowbars disappeared also in this world. You know what I'm saying? They're baseball bats at the very least, because people were using them on each other's heads. But there was a whole lot happening in this story, and yet we didn't get enough. Now, I don't want them to just give away the whole freaking boat. I don't want them to just sit there and say, okay, this is exactly what's happening in the story. I don't want that. I want to feel. I want to actually know. I want to get an idea. I want to figure it out myself. I've said it before. Readers, all of us, we want to earn our meal. We don't want to just walk in and you just tell us the freaking story. Nobody wants that. but we also don't want to walk in and have to start pulling teeth to get it. Now, this wasn't a pulling teeth thing, but it was more, to me, it was more of, if this is the introduction, then I've just got a bunch of characters, some who I like, some who I dislike. And I've got the hint that there's a larger thing going on, that Rosenberg knows what he's doing, but he's not really cluing us in enough for a first issue. I don't think that this was a great introduction to this world. Now, if there was an issue 0 someplace that I don't know about, well, I don't know about it. All right, I just got this. And I feel like we should have had a little bit more to immerse us and let us understand, and little plot holes here and there. Like, this door is the weirdest thing in the world. How come nobody else could open that door? Right? Was it magic? Because this doesn't seem like a magic kind of world. What the frig that they couldn't open this door? What's so special about it? Right? That it happens to be in this building and all of that. And yeah, it was really especially weird to me. No promises that I'm going to read issue 2, because you got to hook me with that first issue. You have to. But I feel that if he doesn't buy the farm on the second issue, then this book is just not, all the good that's in this book is really just going to go to waste. There's only but so much that you can do. When you pick up an issue number 1, they got to grab you hard by the scruff of the frickin' neck, maybe mush your head into the frickin' wall a couple of times and, really get in there. You got to believe that this is going to be a great story. And I read this and I felt like, I felt very unsatisfied, unfulfilled when I got to the end of this, Like they say about American Chinese food. You eat it, an hour later, you're hungry again, right? I looked at this, I read this, and I'm like, any moment now, they're going to hit me with that something that's going to hook me and make me say, ha, you're going to get issue 2, right? And I got to the end, and I literally looked, and I said to myself, really, there's no more? And there were plenty of opportunities to do it. There were 7 chapters in this book? Some of the chapters were like a couple of panels long. You could have done it at any moment. So as far as I'm concerned, there was kind of sort of wasted space in here, that you didn't just give me what I need, just something else. And I can't even say necessarily what it is, because the story is very different. But yeah, I felt a little unfulfilled at the end. I don't like feeling that with an issue number 1. I should be hooked. I should be caught. I should say, holy crap, how can I not read the next issue? And that didn't happen. Let me know how you guys felt about this, and I will talk to you later. Maybe you guys know more about the history of the lore that's going into this. Maybe you read an article or saw an interview. You probably would give an interview to somebody else. Talk to you guys later. Like the video, watch an ad. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.